Jesus freak here. Now, I'm shooting this on December 26th, 2024, which means that the Bible I'm showing off has been in my hands 5 years to the day. Now, I made the stupid mistake of deciding on that day to go to Canada, forgetting that December 26th is still a holiday there and that the buses were running on a Sunday schedule. So it was harder than usual to get around. Remember, I can't drive because my head's screwed up. Anyway, I was waiting on a package, and I don't know if this is still the case. The tracking from Royal Mail in the UK was about terrible. So it's like, I don't know when it's going to come. But it's like, I don't like not to know because I've had packages stolen that were worth a fair bit of money. So, having tracking and watching the tracking like a hawk's kind of been a thing. And I haven't really used this all that much. It's been like, yeah, it's a nice Bible. It's, you look at it and you're like, now that's what I call a Bible. And I've kept it well, mainly because it's mostly been in its original box the whole time. And while I have used it now and then, it really hasn't gotten a lot of use. So one might say, well, what's really special about it? I don't usually buy premium Bibles. I mean, I've bought, church Bible publishers stuff, which is sort of on the low end of premium. This is probably the only premium Bible that I've bought with an intention for being for my own use with my own money. So it does hold a little bit to me. And like I said, it's a nice Bible. I mean, it's R.L. Allan. It's going to be a nice Bible. But I was like, the first real, genuine premium that had come into my hands wasn't, a church Bible publisher. It was a local church type of imitation of a premium. Which, I mean, they're good. But they just don't have the same cachet as a Cambridge or an Allan. Or a Schuyler. But the first one I got was an Allan 7C. And something happened. I don't know. It got lost at my old place. And in the end, I wound up buying an Allan 8, which I figured, it's the same guts, except that it's got a different concordance. Which is to say that instead of having the fancy encyclopedic concordance, it had the helps from the Schofield. And instead of having a more expensive goatskin binding, it had a cheaper calfskin binding. To this date, I'm not at all sure what vachetta or vachetta is supposed to be, which is what this is. And I'm like, this is basically, this is what you'd consider the bottom of the barrel for R.L. Allan. It's still obviously a cut above almost anything you're going to find from anyone else. It's better than the semi-premiums and high-end stuff you're going to get outside of the premier line from, say, Nelson. But the main reason I wanted this particular text block and the only other version I know of still in print that has this feature is the TBS Westminster, which is kind of weird in its appearance. So this is more traditional in its look and feel. In fact, it's pretty similar to the first printings in most regards, apart from, a typeface that for its time was modern. For its time, 120 years ago. But the main thing, the reason I always liked this text block was it has, although some of them are abridged slightly, it does have the original chapter headings that were written by the translators, as well as the translator notes are the original ones, neither of which can be said for, say, the blackface or long primer, which are also Oxford text blocks that Allan reprints just like this one is. Used to be that most of your editions would come with that, those chapter headings and those translation notes. And it kind of faded away because, Bible producers wanted to make their Bibles cheaper. And this one thing I don't like about Nelson is that instead of using the original notes, they only use notes they've done themselves. But yeah, it helps to have a note explaining something where the words changed meaning, or you got some other problem where the word isn't going to make sense to your average reader who isn't familiar with Jacobean 16th, 17th century English. But I wish they'd leave the original notes. And that's what I like about this one. It'd be nice to have, I've got a couple family Bibles, and one of them mostly fits my description of the perfect Bible, and it has pretty much everything I'd expect in a family Bible. it's got these headers, it's got the notes, it even has the Apocrypha. Of course, it's a reprint, so I'm like, something weird about having this reprint as opposed, this is a reprint too. I tend to see Allan as sort of the continuation of Oxford's line of KJVs outside of the Schofield. Whereas Great Sight is just some random site by comparison. Anyway, just had a random thought, I figured to do a video. Plus, I wanted to tap down my phone so I wasn't, trying to recharge it before going out with half the battery still there. So I don't recharge it as often, so there's not as much issues with the battery. And so it doesn't get like, oh, I'm only going to discharge halfway anymore. Anyway, Jesus freak out.